Guys, we're here today to talk about prospective budget for Bedford County for year 2022 through 23. We have with us today Mr. Biff Farrar, Mr. Bill Anderson, and Ms. Anita Epperson, which all three are county commissioners. And what district are you in?
I represent District 9.
District 9.
District 6.
District 6.
District 4.
District 4. 4, 9, and 6. So we got 3 districts represented today. At first look, guys, I've seen this book, this orange book, and it's got about 550 pages in it. You guys got this on what, the 14th, the 14th of June. Gonna vote on it the 28th. So you got 14 days, and we're in the middle of that time frame. Where are you guys at so far in dissecting the budget, and what's your take on it so far?
I have only gotten to maybe about the 4th index so far, because it's just so much to have to look through and read and try to, decipher. You have last year's budget, the budget before that, and
So you sometimes compare those or look at last year's up to this year, see what changes and things have been involved.
Yeah. I don't think I'll be through with the budget book in 2 weeks, but
It's interesting, it's kind of an intimidating document. But like Biff said earlier, you take it one page at a time and one word at a time, and you just got to kind of just soak it in. And that's I'd say that's the only approach to take. And it takes a while, and you need time to take that approach.
Bill, what's your take?
My take on it is I would have liked to have had it before now. I would have also liked the study sessions that went into this to have not been done at 10 o'clock in the morning where commissioners at work can't be present. I'm just going to be honest with you. To me, it should have been done at a time where we all could at least try to attend, but if you work, you're supposed to take a day off from work in the middle of the day to go to the meetings. And this is not new. I've complained about this for 8 years now. I'm complaining about it again. I think election show I do with you guys. I complained about it then. And to me, we could all be more informed that way if obviously you could be there.
And not only the people that could be there, but also the public if they want to attend. I mean, some of the public can attend these meetings.
10 a.m. is tough on the public.
It's tough on the public, so that's where I'm going on that.
So,
that it's not only tough for people involved, but also.
And anytime you're doing a budget, you look at what you did last year, what you did this year. But if you all look around, to me, look at the growth we've had. There's a tremendous amount of growth. Last year we had an increase. Now we want to call it whatever we want to call it, but taxes went up 15 to 18% based off the reappraisal. So we just a year ago had a tax increase, even though we didn't call it that. Ask anybody, did your taxes go up? It is what it is.
Yeah, it is. The market went up, and they set the rate on the market, and
we are looking at an economy we've not seen since the 70s. And you've got gas doubled up. We've got elderly people in my district and all of our districts. Folks, these people are hurting on Social Security. They're on fixed income. And there's a lot of them like that. And they're good, hard-working people that came from a generation that they didn't ask for things.
So, okay. So the budget, though, that y'all be voting on is basically neutral. No increases in it. It's taking projected revenues for the upcoming year and deciphering it out and spreading it out. The growth, I think, is $1.3 million from last year to the upcoming year based on tax increase.
Now the question is, are we $300,000 in the hole or not? That's my question.
Well, that gets to another part, okay? And I'm gonna call you Coach, because that's what I called you when I went to school. How about that?
Yeah, that'll be fun, Dave. Of course, when you got a budget, you've got 2 things that you look at. You've got revenues of money's coming in, and then of course you got expenditures. Of course, it's expenditures you've got to take a great amount of time. Certainly, some of the new commissioners ask me what I do. I'd say section 1. You need to start with 101. It's county general fund budget, and you need to go through it again, and through it again, and through it again. Section 1 needs to be studied and reviewed thoroughly. Then the next one is 151. Is general debt service, and in that, and this is where there's a lot of things in capital projects. There's 2 or 3 things in here that I think have that need to be looked at and discussed and debated. And that's where some of this extra money is demanded, and they want. And then, of course, your debt requirements. We owe quite a bit of money. The schools do. you know, I think the school debt is several hundreds of millions of dollars. It's I think school fund is 47.4 million, and our county debt is 31.9 million, and that has to be serviced. And interest on that school fund is like $1.6 million.
Does that include the Justice Center also, Coach?
It went on general fund, yes.
Okay.
That'll be under ours. Now schools, it's just schools.
Okay.
That would be under the general fund,
Okay.
county general fund of the 31.9 million.
Right.
And interest we pay is 1.1 million. So, and I do think that our finance director and all that, we've refinanced quite a bit, I was told, last year and the year before. And that's going to be really great because, as we know, interest rates are getting higher and higher and higher. And hopefully, and they all said it was all fixed now. There's no variable rates in there. That came out at one of the study sessions. So that is very good.
Yes.
We've saved quite a bit of money on interest paid on debt just this year alone.
Yeah.
So
So total debt for the whole county is up at over 70 million. Was it 73 or 74? Is that what it is? I think I
78,
saw
isn't it?
that when I looked over
78
the
million?
78 million.
31.9 and 47, it's 78, 79 million.
yes, $79,420,800.
Okay, when you've got a annual income of how much? Annual revenues?
Well, you're,
We're gathering about $25 million.
Okay, so your
It's 25.6 million.
your debt load is 3 times, more than 3 times your
Income.
your annual income. Okay, what would Dave Ramsey say about those numbers?
No, you wouldn't like it.
freak out.
He would say you are bankrupt. Is what he would say.
So you got
But-
the budget neutral, but then there's some other things added into that. I guess the question is, do we stay neutral?
Well, before we get there,
Okay.
I want to ask these guys, is there anything that throws a red flag up to you guys up to this point on the budget that you're going to be voting on?
$100,000 for a lobbyist. Who we
A
lobbying?
lobbyist?
Who's the lobbyist?
Is it
Who we lobbying?
to designate the?
I mean, who's the lobbyist? Who we paying? What they lobbying for? They lobbying for grants? They lobbying the state?
That's a good question. I hope that question's
You
brought
have
up.
anything?
I've already mentioned the capital projects fund. We've got this is 178. There's from last year to this year. Last year, in the total public safety projects was about $500,000. They've got an estimate $6 million now, and I don't know. I'm assuming, and I was at the study session, that most of that is E911 and it has to do with county radio upgrade. Well, that's several millions of dollars.
It's 5.6.
For a radio
it's
upgrade?
5.6.
Should we go to the digital upgrade that
And
the
it
city
came-
went
I
to?
thought we used the COVID money for that, right? That was where the 5.6 million.
I don't know how that's paid for, but I do
That's what I
know
thought.
that, and we may have, but sure, because that doesn't factor. But it's $6 million.
Is that mandatory?
Uh,
Does the state mandate that you
I
have
think
to
it's
do
just
that?
keeping up with the times. It's digital.
Okay, all
it's
right,
more
that's
reliable.
that's
but I
I know a little bit about radio. Analog still works.
it does.
All right, it still works. It's working today. Okay.
But I'll tell you, that some of these county sheriffs, they get way out in the boondock. They have to either call in because sometimes there's
Well,
no radio.
that's where you could put up a couple more repeaters and eliminate that.
Maybe so. Maybe so. I think
pretty
that's.
easy.
Yeah, I just to
But
say that.
but if it's that much, $6 million. If you know, let's just say it's $4 million for this digital radio move, and if we're tight, would you all consider that just a little icing on the cake? That's a little extra. It's a little something we want and don't necessarily have to have today.
I think that's where the COVID money went, 5.6 million.
And it could
I
be.
think that's where
That could
I
be
don't think
paid
that's
for,
new.
but it may not be. But it is that amount of money.
It is that
and if
amount
we're
of
going to
money.
use it for something else, then maybe we could have done something else
the
with it.
The COVID money is already outlaid, and we spent $1.4 million on renovation of the buildings, the courthouse, and then the annex, and that goes back, what, 2 or 3 years too, though.
Yeah, it goes back maybe more than 2 or 3, probably 4 or 5.
But the COVID money, the bulk of that went to, what did we get, 9 million?
9 million.
Yeah.
9.8, 9.6,
Maybe
something like that.
somebody
A little
posted
over that.
on Facebook the layout of that. They had a worksheet.
Yeah, we got one,
You got one.
finally.
So was the radio equipment included in
Yes,
that?
that's the way I remember. it.
Okay. All right, well then I'm barking up the
I
wrong
may
tree.
not,
I'm
I
sorry.
don't remember exactly everything.
I don't know
but
either.
we could-
And the other government projects as well was 2.2 million, and they had a sewer line balance in there, broadband, which we're trying to get that, and that may have been taken from COVID as well. Union Ridge water project, industrial park was getting some of that money. T-Deck, grant match was in there, and it was like 2.2. Now, it may have been paid for from COVID money as well, but that's quite a bit of extra payments that we've made, regardless
Right,
of
yeah.
how it's paid for.
Is there anything that's alarming to you guys that you see as not necessary up to this point that you've seen? Now, I know you hadn't had time to go through the whole thing, but is there anything there that anything else that maybe has like drawn concerns to you?
I think there's several places that we could cut in here that maybe, like you said, that is a want and not a need that we just absolutely have to have. And I haven't gotten all the way outside. By all means, haven't got all the way through it.
You said something that I think is very important for these times. And I think every family in this county, and probably, well, across America, is having to say, do I need that or do I want that?
Right.
On
Especially
a
right
lot
now.
of things. And I think it would be wise for our county government to apply the same principles. Because I remember this, Coach, I had you for economics for a few weeks.
You get kicked out of
Semester.
You told me you
That's
can't
one
spend,
semester.
one semester back then, you can't spend more than you make. I remember you saying that. I said, okay, that makes
Pretty
sense.
fundamental
My daddy
economics.
beat that into my head too. So when times get tight, you have to not go after these things that you want and sometimes get by with what you got.
Right.
Is there, you think there's stuff in there like that?
Yeah, I do think
There
there
always
is.
is.
There always is.
It's always,
Always,
yeah.
there always is.
So how do you whittle that down and get to those? How do you find those things? Do you get your departments together and go over it? And say, hey, can you cut this? Can you do this?
I've always had a wish, and this may be, Commissioner Farrar might address this as well, but my wish has always been when these department heads, we have standing committees. And I've always kind of thought that maybe early in the spring, that a department head, or if it was the sheriff, or just whoever would go to law enforcement, or what have you, and you would start there at the committee level, and then it would work itself with a request to finance or whatever. Apparently that's not the way we were going to do it, but maybe we'd all be more informed and we could dissect things a little better if our subcommittees were used, that our standing committees were used a little bit more. In
Yeah.
fact, how about a lot more?
Speaking of the department heads, are y'all getting much feedback as to their needs of what are they really, is there one that's having needs over the other, say the sheriff or the EMS, or do they all always have a general need every year? Is there one bigger than the other?
Well, the sheriff's department has the biggest budget, of course, of anybody. But they always have things, they're always needing vehicles and deputies and jailers.
Well, would it be safe to say that every department head up there's got a want list?
But, oh yeah. they
There's
all-
always something that, we can improve this, and I guarantee it's the truth.
And I have heard something that we mentioned earlier, but I have, and I'm not gonna say who, but I had a county employee several years ago say this to me: you always ask for the moon, and you said it earlier to me, and hope to get a star. And so there's always some of that involved too, where you're
Right.
asking for more than you know you're gonna get, just hoping you're gonna
That's
get
just
it
a
here.
good negotiation technique.
It
really
is, but in times like this, which are a little different,
Right.
that you're facing the worst economy in the last 40 years, and this is 1976, 77 all over again.
I've been on some budget and finance committees before, and it seems like when you allocate a budget to a department or a specific category that has somebody managing it, that about October, well, let's say about May of the year that your budget's about to run out, if you got money sitting in your fund, you're gonna find every way in the world you can to spend that money, because, well, if we don't spend it, they might cut us back next year. Y'all ever seen that
I
happen?
have seen that
I
happen.
have
I mean,
seen
that
that.
happens, it's a human
Sure.
nature, because people think, well, if I'm not spending as much as I did last year, they're gonna cut my budget.
A lot of wasteful spending.
Boy, I believe the money is lost. It doesn't go over to you next year. It goes back into the general fund.
Yes,
Don't
it
use
goes
correct?
back in the general
Right,
fund,
goes back
yes.
to zero fund, well, we can't have that happen.
And I
Well,
mean,
that's true.
there is a lot of need. EMS needs, we're always short paramedics. We need more paramedics.
But I've heard something where there's like a shortage of those. I mean, is that?
That's
I guess that's one of the
overall
questions.
nationally.
Is that
Right,
nationally? Are
national.
y'all really getting that here too? Are they really? I mean, is it affecting here too? I mean, sometimes nationally, other areas are kind of cut off. Or is it affecting us here in Bedford County? Just to see.
Sure, I think it affects everybody, though. I think that is a problem nationwide. It's not just Bedford County, it's Lincoln County, it's all of us.
It's not just EMS, it's just workers in general, everywhere.
That's
Well,
a problem in
that's- you're
private
right
business,
about
anyone
that.
will
Yeah.
say.
Well, are we
There's
losing?
not enough employees.
Are we losing our police to competitive counties like Marshall County and other counties that are surrounding? Is that an issue? Do we need to take more care of
Again,
it?
are you comparing us to Rutherford County? Yeah, they're always going to go to Rutherford County.
Not Rutherford, but like.
Well, I mean, they are, though. They're
Yeah.
going to go there and get a raise.
Well, Murfreesboro is the magnet.
It has
Rutherford
350,000
County's the
people. We have.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'd go. Yeah, I mean if that's.
And
Wilson
we-
in Rutherford is, but they got a lot more money.
We're not. We're not Rutherford. We got to be Shelbyville, but are we?
And where do we shop? Where do we shop as people? Rutherford County. So we're taking our tax dollars.
Walmart,
This is
Chevy,
what we're doing.
Walmart and Chevy.
But you're taking those tax dollars over to Rutherford County or wherever, so they have a larger
Yeah.
sales tax
Oh,
base.
that's true. I mean, we all.
As well as an income base.
Yeah. No, that's
I mean-
true. So that's hard to. It's hard to compete there.
Yeah,
Sure.
I don't think we're losing them to Lincoln, Coffee,
Right.
those counties, and Marshall. No, I don't think we are.
But I did know
But we are losing them to.
that we did pay at the jail quite a bit. And we're paying a whole lot.
And
And
this
we still
budget.
haven't
No,
got
we
any
did
more.
this several years ago, and we still have a shortage of employees, and we're paying
Right.
more than Coffee, we're paying more than Lincoln, so
I think when I
money
when
doesn't
I-
always do it either.
when I talked to Sheriff Swing, he was telling me they were 26 staff members short
I knew it was 20.
at that time, and that was back when I interviewed him before the election. So that's always going to be a battle with things like they are right now in this country.
And that,
so.
they were about that many short 4 years ago. And like you said, we up to pay. I mean, it's always a battle.
All right, well, let's kind of change directions now. We talked about the budget. It's a work in progress. Y'all are still dissecting the numbers, looking at all that. So I'm gonna ask you right now, if you had to vote for this budget like it is today, how would your vote go?
I've got to finish reading the book. I got to have more time
But if
to
you
look at it.
had to stop today, if I
If I
held
had
the gun,
stopped
if I
today,
held the gun
oh,
to
you
you,
wouldn't have to do that. Answer's no.
okay, because you hadn't had enough time.
Right, no, and I haven't had
Absolutely.
enough time either. I
Yeah.
would not. I mean, I'm not for raising taxes at all.
Well, we're fixing to get to that.
But no, I would not today, because like I said, I ain't had enough time to look at it. I don't even know if I have time to look at it in 2 weeks, but I'm trying.
Okay.
I think that's an
Coach?
issue. I think you need
Yeah.
your adequate time.
Certainly, we need to see if there's any place where we can make some cuts.
I agree.
The toughest thing to do, whether it's in the sheriff's department, or in the jail, or EMS, or the mayor's office, or the finance department, is how much personnel do you need, and then there's always requests, and sometimes there's a feeling that they need or want, and there's a difference between wants and needs. But that certainly needs to be looked at. When you start dealing with personnel, you've got all kinds of stuff involved with it. You got Social Security, then you got pensions, and even bigger than that is medical insurance.
Oh, gosh.
It's horrendous. And if
and
you
it is
get
going up.
2 or 3 extra personnel people every year that you could do without, that would save us hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, what you're saying is just not the salary. It's a whole lot more than just
Yes,
the
it
salary.
is. Yes, you got to consider Social Security, the pensions, and the medical insurance as well.
So you're saying you couldn't vote yet. You're still looking.
No, I think we need to try to find cuts.
Okay, all right,
But
that's-
I think absolutely it's our duty to try to balance a budget every year. Now, that's where you got to get the difference between needs and wants. These wants have to be shuffled out of there somehow, and these department heads, and we've got good people in the departments, through the fee officers and all that, but they have to ask the tough question, and particularly personnel, and secretaries included. I mean, you got to watch getting overstaffed,
Yeah.
because the salaries don't go away, and then you got all those other things I've already mentioned.
Right.
The Social Security, the pensions.
So you got your
medical
eraser
insurance.
out. Is what you got, and I think y'all are gonna get your erasers
Yeah,
out too.
I've had mine
But
looking.
you got it coming, the 28th.
Well, the question is this $300,000 short, do we think?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, wait, it's short from a certain goal that we're gonna fixing to talk about. Okay.
And most of,
Because I'm assuming this is not 300,000 short of the goal.
No, it's
majority
not.
of the county offices work 35 hours a week. So,
35, not 40.
No.
What happened to
They
the
get
40 hour?
paid
The
on
40 hour?
40, but it's lunch.
Lunch.
Yeah.
How does the real world work?
I'm not.
you know, everybody that works for us, I mean, and you know, myself included, it's 10 hours for me,
Right.
12 hours or
Dave,
whatever.
if you take a day off, you get paid. I can take a day off, but I don't get paid.
I mean,
I
it's
just-
just like, it's
I
the
don't-
way it is.
Sorry.
It's just the way it is, but I don't get sick days either.
I don't
That's
either.
a nice benefit to
Sure.
have, it really is.
Yeah, I don't.
And those are benefits that come along with
Absolutely.
employment, I get that.
I do too.
But 40 hours, I thought was a work week,
Yeah,
State's
it's the lunch.
37 and a half now.
but we're 35?
I don't know.
Well,
Most
it's
of the-
really
most
40,
of
but
the-
it's the lunch. that
It's
counts.
lunch, yeah.
It's 40, but it's
I
the
get
lunch.
that, but here's the thing. When somebody comes in here and they clock out and go to lunch, they clock out. They work 4 hours before and 4 hours after, and they take an hour for lunch.
An argument could be stated that way.
Okay, so you got 35 hours. You basically, what you're doing, whatever the percentage it is, you're overstaffing a certain percentage. Whatever 5 of 40 is, you're overstaffing just to handle a lunch break. Is that good spending of
Well,
taxpayer dollars?
Let me ask this question too. With technology the way it is and with COVID, a lot of people started doing a lot of transactions online, whether it be what have you. It looks to me like a lot of that transactions that are occurring over the internet, one would say or think might be a difference in personnel where you didn't need as many people because it's all being done
I would say
online.
there's
or
a lot
You
of times.
eliminate lunch, paid for lunch breaks, and you get 12.5% more workload. That's what it figures to. Those 5 hours is 12%.
Now, and I think the sheriff's department, they work 42, and then that way they have 2 hours overtime. Is that right?
I was thinking
Man,
42 and it came back to 38 the
you
next
know,
week, maybe.
I don't know.
Well, maybe a shift toward the general workforce would be a good step to make too, like everybody else does in the private sector. But that's just me ranting for a second. All right, what we really want to get to today, and guys, I take it you guys have got some work to do on this.
Absolutely.
With this budget presentation came a letter from Mayor Graham, and we had a show about this the other day, Bo, and we talked about it. And there's a proposal that he's making because we are 22% under market value for our current employee pay across the entire government system. That's what it says, across the entire government system. I'm reading it off the letter that I've got a copy of. And estimated correction costs to get rid of this disparity, 22% disparity, is going to cost $4 million, or that would be a 32-cent tax increase. Now, this has nothing to do with this budget.
Okay.
I assume this is for down the road. That's his goal, to get us a 32-cent tax increase to cover that $4 million. All right. Then we've got the Economic Development Partnership, which is another $510,000. That's for our industrial growth thing, whatever it is we're doing there. And the city is
210, not 5.
well, it's
Well, it's
510 for the
510
total amount.
Yeah. Oh,
And then
yes,
you gotta
I'm sorry.
multiply this
Yes.
times the city of
The
Shelbyville,
city is
which is gonna be
yeah.
$1,020,000.
So the city is paying half, the county's paying half. You guys are concerned with your half, so
Right.
that's
You got
510,000.
200,000 for the
And-
sewer.
Well, that's in there. That's
That
in the
already in that one,
510.
okay.
All right, so you got a 4-cent increase there. That gets you the 36-cent increase. And then the government inflation rate is 5.9%, which actually that's not right. The
It's
federal
gone-
government is 8.9.
It's gone up.
It's gone up, and that's a fictitious number. If you try to upkeep pay with the inflation rate, you're gonna run out of money fast.
I think that number came from that 2021
Yeah,
study.
2021.
Yeah.
But any rate,
But
We
you're
were handed this one as well, it
5.9
says 8.6%, we were handed the
Yeah.
legal
so
as well.
7 cents. So you add 36 to the 7, 36, 43-cent tax increase. If you take that and figure the current rate with the addition, it's 18% more. All right,
Yeah.
so that's what it is. Or he says that his administration will have to cut EMS to provide 4 units daily for basic life support, because there's going to be a $300,000 budget shortfall, and I don't know. I thought maybe that ought to be addressed in the budget if you're $300,000 short, but it's in this letter. But all right, what's your first take when you read this letter, guys?
And it says you'd reduce staff to
Coach.
4 units daily.
Yeah, Coach, what do you think?
Well, EMS, the budget is already $3.8 million. I know there's more needs there, and I see them, but they're already funded with quite a bit of money. It's about the third in line behind the sheriff's department at 4.3 million, then the jail, which is 4 million, and then other emergency management, which is a line item there And you're just as good as mine. It's $2 million.
What?
Now that needs to be explained exactly
Wow.
what's involved with other emergency management.
Well, there's
It's $2 million, an increase of $240,000 from that. So when you get in that line item stuff, and that's in the general fund, the sheriff's department is line item 33. It's count 554 110, I believe, and then the jail, and that's of all the things that's aggravating. It's sad. They told us, and it wasn't the sheriff's department, it wasn't any of the deputies, anything else. It was people from Nashville. We built this new jail. We were going to save millions of dollars.
Yeah.
We've not saved a penny.
Not a penny.
how would they justify saving money by
But
building?
because of the number of jailers that's used to view the way the construction of the jail is supposed to be.
Reduction of staff.
Yes, big time. You can't believe it. I don't have that, and it's been 3, 4, 5 years ago. Whenever but they sold us a bill of sale there. Now, I've been on commission for 20 years. It's the worst thing that we were told that didn't come true. And jail is gone back up to $4 million. It's just $300,000 less than the sheriff's department. I mean, that makes me furious. And most of that's obviously with personnel.
Oh, right.
And we've already talked about that. You got all those other things that's involved with
So
that.
it's taking more staff
Yes.
than what you had before.
Yes.
And you were told it's going to save you staff.
Yes. Millions of dollars over so
here's
many
my
years,
question.
and it's gone up.
So somebody sitting in that situation that knows about taking care of a jail should have been saying, wait, that's not true. They should have been able to catch that somewhere. But anyway, that's water
gone.
under the bridge
It's gone
now.
now.
So,
But you still have to wonder how that jail budget has got back to $4 million.
Right, how did it get back to where?
I don't understand that.
This Burris Thompson study, it seems like, did y'all get a chance to look at that to see?
I've never seen
I've
it.
never seen
Um,
You ever seen it, Mr.
And
Farrell?
the way it is, and I actually got a chance to look at it, is it divides them into 3 sectors: smaller comparable counties to Bedford County, medium size, and then the large. The way I understand is in this the way he came with this number was a 2021 study for that small group of comparable counties: Lincoln, Marshall, Giles, several like that, and that we are below average in paying our employees. What do y'all think about that? I mean, should we come in line with that? Are we that far behind counties?
Well, ask
comparable to
yourself
us?
another question. What is the comparison of government employees to private sector pay?
I'm glad you asked,
That's
Bill.
very good. That's a good.
All right.
That's what I've been saying. Well, the
All right.
government's doing this while the economy's doing this.
That's-
All right, here's the deal. Bedford County employees, the people that work for the county, are 12% below the national average. 12%.
That's national.
That's the
whole-
national average. We're
California,
12%
everybody.
below the national average, all right? Bedford County citizens in the private sector are 21% below the national average as far as median salary, okay? The median salary for full-time employees that work for the county is roughly $43,500 a year, which is $20.91, and I was assuming that was a 40-hour work week, but since it's only 35, that bumps that up. Now, everybody else that's working 40 hours a week is making $15.92 in the county. That's $33,126 annual salary. That's the average citizen's pay. The county employee pay is, well, you see, you're making $5 more an hour, but more than that now because I just now found out they're working 35 hours.
Well, and so basically it's $10,000 a year that the county employees are making more than anybody in the
Private
Right,
sector.
right. So
So where can we cut that, and where the money needs to go in the safety? I'd say there. Where can you cut it outside of those areas?
Well, this was obviously read to me like an across-the-board thing, right? This 22% was across
That's
the
what
board.
that's
how
what
I
I think that's how it is. And
Not
that-
just EMS, not just firefighters.
It's
everybody.
everything across the board, and I don't think they're picking and choosing any special one that gets a raise.
And there are some people, we got county employees that don't make but $10 an hour.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, and that average takes that into, you go from $165,000 annual salary for your top spot
Right.
down to some that are like part-time making $10 an hour. So you get a wide range. It's
And
very
if we
much
were going
like
to do a raise, what I would like to see is under $40,000 a year to start there, if we were going to do
Right.
one. But I still can't see raising taxes to give raises. I said this 4 years ago when we did this too. You can't raise taxes to give raises. I'm not against getting a raise.
I'm not.
We're growing. Look around town, folks. You see houses everywhere. We're growing like great. Well, then within the budget, and we can come up with some stuff. Maybe we can give some raises. I'm all
It's
for
the
that.
wasteful spending you're scared of, but yeah, for a better Bedford County and good leadership and good, good industry coming to town, I'm willing to give a little bit, but a little bit extra tax money. But when you see some of the waste and things that aren't cutting, it's great to see people like y'all representing the people, going through and reading this and taking it page by page and taking it serious. It should be mind easing to everybody watching this, as it is to me, that our dollars are being looked at, every penny's being looked at as it should.
And I think there's ways besides property tax. You cannot, I keep saying this, continue to put the burden of the county on property owners. I mean, it's got to be other places that we can come up with.
Not everybody owns property.
Right.
But I will say this: they are paying. Trust me.
They are through their.
Trust me, if you're a landlord out there and you are paying rent, your landlord is charging you these property taxes because your rent's going up too.
It's true.
You're paying.
Because his cost is going up.
Sure,
That's why
it's
it's
rent, all your rent's
economic.
gonna go up as well.
Cost goes up, end cost goes up.
We got a
if
lot
you're
more
looking at-
homeless here too.
If you're looking at inflation though, and you do something like this, aren't you taking gasoline and throwing it on a fire?
It seems
I mean,
like
I took Commissioner Farrar's economics class as well. This right here, if you got heavy inflation, you raise taxes. Well, if inflation is 8.6%, that's horrible for everybody. So you're going to take it from me.
it would seem like it'd be a good
Somewhere
time
else.
to continue to stay neutral a little bit.
At least to let the economy improve and then see where we're at.
Or a little bit at a time, but that's a big jump, and that's a hard pill to swallow for most people. But
When again, you had a 15 to 18% increase in taxes last year off the reappraisal. I saw some businesses that went up 40, a lot more than that. Now, there was some farmland, I understand it didn't go up as much, but I think the average was about 15 to 18 now. And you guys out here, look at your property taxes, you paid more this year. So there was a raise last year.
Okay, so let's just look at some numbers that I put a poll out. I put 2 polls out because once I posted this letter and the potential tax increase, everybody went crazy. Okay,
Yeah.
so I want to get a barometer check across the board from the county, and I put, are you in favor of an 18% property tax increase in Bedford County? 87% say no. 13% say yes. Then I asked this question. Would you be in favor of a wheel tax in Bedford County? People are a little bit more open to this. 54% said no and 46% said yes. And if the numbers are correct, and if my memory is correct, 6 years ago when we had a referendum, that's about the margin that it lost by.
It was more.
Was it
2 to 1.
2 to 1. Well,
And it
there's
was
the
done,
numbers
Commissioner
today.
Farrar, it was done about 15 years ago. It's been tried twice here and failed.
it can be passed through the commission, but it also can be voted to send a referendum. Is
I
that
get
correct?
tax how many signatures, Commissioner Farrar?
They'll get the signatures.
They will, I sure do.
And then it goes to referendum.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
then it's
yeah.
voted down. Seems like it's about 60.
And a wheel
66, 34, something
Now,
like
wheel
that.
tax
Was it
is
really?
not frozen, right? It could
Well, it
It could
depends.
be.
It can be.
it can be
It can
frozen.
be.
However you write it up.
Yes, you can write it up
However the
to
referendum.
go to whatever fund you want to go to, and you
Okay.
can freeze it so that it's frozen.
Do you
and
trust us to
tax-
freeze it? I'm just asking,
Well,
do
the
you trust
taxpayer-
us to
I
freeze
trust you to.
it? You might me, but I'm just
But
saying.
I don't trust
when
the
you
guy
do a
that's
new
up the
tax,
chain, I
and it's
don't-
$50, you turn around and
We
say,
were always told that, I think it was the third time, this last time, that if we earmarked that wheel tax to education, then it would certainly pass.
Right.
Well, we did, and then highway got linked on, which was okay. Highway needs money as well.
Oh, yeah.
But it still didn't pass.
Yeah, that's right.
So we were going to earmark all of that money
To
to
education.
At a time when
education
you
and
thought
highway
it might
department,
pass, and it
and
didn't.
it still didn't pass.
And we also had it this last time, I believe, that if it went up, it had to go back before the voters. Didn't we have that on there last time?
No, that one,
I'm not sure.
I mean,
thought
that's
it
what
was
I wonder about,
two-thirds
like a
majority
change of
commissions, well,
administration,
yeah,
that if they
12
could
votes maybe.
write something in where they could
Right.
change it.
Well,
I
if
agree.
the voters decide, the voters ought to be able to decide to make the change.
Yes,
That's the way it ought to be.
100%.
All right. Now, the second part of this, besides the salary, is the Shelbyville-Bedford partnership.
Can we
is
go back to
requesting-
one other thing,
All
then?
right, yes, go back. Let's go.
and this is where we were back here a minute ago on the tax thing. 'Cause I've been asked this. I've been said, is there any tax you would be for? And right now, honestly, the answer is no, because we've
You
grown.
mean increase,
But
tax
no, just
increase.
any kind of increase in anything.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
y'all on your show talked about that impact fee the other day.
Yeah,
And it's $1 per square foot is
Right.
what it is on construction.
right,
4 years ago, I fought this because I said it would curb growth.
right.
I think we're at the point now, folks, where this would be something I might consider whatever we could go up on it because we're growing too fast.
25 cents is what
That's
you
what I
can
was
go.
gonna say, a quarter's what I was thinking maybe.
And that goes to schools as
Right.
well, and we've got the school construction going on. I'm not so sure
So you're
we need
thinking
to
maybe
slow
a dollar
things down.
and a quarter per
Versus
square
a dollar.
foot. Is it per square foot, correct?
Per
Yeah.
square
And that
foot.
goes 100% to schools?
That's the way it's set up currently. In school building, and we are building a new school.
Well, we need a $5 impact fee if we're gonna pay for all these schools we're gonna
And
need.
that'll stop it.
No, yeah, but yeah, I'm with you on that. I
Because
think
at least that way, it's people that if they're coming in here in droves the way they are, at least they're paying up for it.
if I'm gonna build a 5,000 square foot house, and I do the math on that, that's $5,000.
Was it?
All right, would it stop me if I had to pay 60,
No.
62.50?
Now, Rutherford County, I believe, caps at 1,500. Most counties do. We're the highest impact fee of anybody around here.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if we had to look at something,
Right,
had to do
right.
something, that'd be something I'd be willing to look at.
I would be
Okay.
willing to look at that as well.
All right,
Instead
let's-
of property tax.
Let's look at the economic partnership, development partnership. Shelbyville Bedford Partnership is requesting a total amount of $510,000, which would be, there's really no answer for what all this goes for, but there's 200,000 of it built in for sewer upgrades.
Which we need last
If you're
week.
gonna put buildings out there, you're gonna have to do it. But that's a 4-cent increase, a part of the 43. So, what do y'all feel about the Shelbyville Bedford Partnership situation?
Y'all may remember this was different than me, but I remember this being $150,000 previously for the operations.
It was.
And it was $150 from the city, and we've been here 2 years. So we spent $300,000 collectively 2 years in a row
to get this
to
thing.
get this thing going and get all this done. And now you've got to look up, and I heard in January, oh, it's coming, and we got project this and project that. You know what you got? When you're in a hole, quit digging. And at some point, you can't keep throwing good money after bad money.
There's
But
no
I just-
fruit on this tree here.
Well,
I'm not seeing any.
maybe if there
I'm
is,
hearing a
work on a
lot.
commission, but to sit here, this is increasing that 60,000 on our end, 60 on the city end. Looks like we're giving that a raise to not bring anything here. There's nothing here.
And I mentioned something the other day about incentivizing that, like when the
Right.
when ground's
I heard you
broke,
say that.
when buildings are up,
Right.
then here you go.
But
Here-
explain to
that's
me,
the-
somebody, what is $100,000 for 231 board expenses? What's that?
What's 231 board?
Well,
That's the 231 board, but what,
You're gonna have to ask the board, I think.
That's the park, the industrial park board?
yeah,
Is that what it is?
that's, yeah, it's the economic development board. Well, where's the expense? Is it travel
Well,
expense?
That's a
ask,
great,
that's a
great
question.
question.
That's a question.
That's
that I-
times two, that's
I
$200,000.
tried to get an answer to that, and I couldn't get an answer to that. I don't know where that was going to go, where those were going to go.
And I just fear that it might be time for us to step back here. I'm afraid we gave too much power to the city of Shelbyville did and the Bedford County Commissioners, that we're not any more involved in this really, that we don't know where this stuff is. And then we're told when we
Well,
ask questions, we go ask so-and-so.
Here's the thing, we've got two specific projects, Turquoise and Cardinal, they're titled. From what I understand, you're gonna have about, well, maybe 220 jobs when all this settles down. How many of those jobs are gonna really employ Bedford counties? So, how
Good
much
question.
money is it gonna benefit us to where, now, here's my question.
How much
Are we-
do you put in and how do you get it back
How
out?
much did the land cost us? Are we selling it to them or are we giving it to them?
Right.
As a taxpayer, I wanna know that.
Then are we gonna do in lieu of taxes for 20 years to get you here where you paid nothing?
That's not right.
Well, I don't know that we are. I'm just saying I can see it.
But, you know, I understand everybody does that. A lot of these big cities have that money to throw out. But as a,
I would feel more comfortable knowing what that money was going to.
And every time we ask, they say, well, we're really close, they're coming, we're close.
And it might, and it's great. It might be so, you know, but
Folks, we're
right
8
now
years,
it's
we're
like,
8 years into purchasing this, we're 8 years into it. We're 2 years into this plan and you still got nothing.
I can see the people, the
And it's on
citizens.
July 1st, and you're gonna be throwing another 5, 10, plus the city, and I represent Motor City and I do county, and I mean, these are still my constituents out here, of the city of Shelbyville. I'm concerned about that, the city's part too.
Coach, if
That's
you
over
want
there
to
now.
say something, you like to tell us to shut up. You like
Right.
to
I'm fine.
Come on
I'm
in
with
here.
it.
Come on.
No,
What's your
I've got
thought on the
same
development?
questions. I think the bipartisan board of city and county was a great idea, but I haven't seen much come to fruition with it yet. I mean, there's a lot of talk, and they can certainly talk a good game. They can talk.
Yes, they do.
Talk.
Well, that's how this money
But-
keeps coming up, because the talk
yeah.
sounds good. You know?
Right, but I just don't know if we've gotten any results much yet. But, you know, I'm still optimistic with it. I still like the idea of a joint committee, but they've got to produce something besides talk. And like Commissioner Anderson said, we're 2 years into this, and That's about all we've gotten is just feedback talk. They hadn't seen anything.
I mean, can we at least get the sewer in there, some of the infrastructure to where people, if I was going to buy something like that, that's what I would
Be
want
there.
there first.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be
Exactly.
there.
Well, would it be wise to put the sewer in, and then if you ain't really got anybody coming, put some lots out there and just start selling them?
You've got a great location there. It's going to, I
Get
think,
your money back.
Get your money back and then
Maybe
take
make
that
money.
money and put it right
Put
over
it back
here.
in here.
what
Right
you're
over-
saying
I
is
don't
the
know.
sewer needs to be out there anyway.
If you go sell the property, you're gonna have to
It
have
has
it.
to.
You know, so,
I mean,
but-
But maybe we need to wait and get the sewer in before we keep paying $210,000 for operations.
That's the sewer.
which is
I'm all for
$420.
that sewer.
Well, but I'm saying if we had to wait for the sewer, you're going to be blowing another.
you're
year.
trying to put the roof on, you can get the foundation built yet. All right, so anyway, next item was cost of living, which is 5.9%, goes back to 2021 inflation rates. Want a raise for everybody to get everybody up to
It's about
stuff on
at
the
8.6
inflation.
now. So
Yeah, well, it's 5.9 figures at 7, so if we go to 8.6, that'll be higher.
yes.
So all these three adding up 43 cents more property tax. If they said, Anita, you got to vote on this today, what's your answer on this 43-cent increase?
No.
Ain't happening.
H no.
And no.
3
I held my
no's.
tongue on that one.
3 no's. 3 no's. All
Absolutely
right.
no.
Okay, now, Adam Thomas wanted to be here with us today, and he couldn't be. So I just asked him his take on all of this. And I want to read this to you. He put it together very well, and I'm going to publish this on Shelbyville Now Facebook and on the website because I think it's worth posting. It says, to Shelbyville Now and their followers, I am not an overly articulate person. I will attempt to sound as professional as possible and want to apologize for not being able to attend. We are with family for Father's Day weekend. We as a country are in a position that has not been experienced since the Carter administration. We are learning that the free money that many wanted is coming at a huge cost, one which we are paying with interest. Gas prices have doubled, groceries are up 9.4%, shortages of everyday items like baby formula, computer chips, and more are causing anger across the board. The problems of the federal government leadership have trickled down to the everyday person, which in turn affects your local governments. On June the 14th, 2022, we commissioners were handed a large budget and are tasked with going through it in a period of 2 weeks. I am currently still studying the budget to be completely educated on it. It would be foolish for me to have my mind made up on a topic before even reading the document. I believe as a public servant, it is my job to responsibly use the money paid to Bedford County by our hardworking citizens. Before we go straight to a 42-cent tax increase, much too big of a jump, we must ensure there is no wasteful spending occurring. We cannot continue to pour extra money, a proposed $510,000 increase, into seemingly unfruitful, secretive projects such as the Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership and their Project Turquoise/Cardinal. I want to be clear and honest. I'm not saying I will never, under any circumstances, vote for a small tax increase. I believe we must be responsible for what we have been given before considering to do so. I have been in prayer asking for wisdom on how to handle this. This is a topic that needs to be debated and discussed with open minds for more time than we have. Thank you, Mr. Thomas, for taking the time to keep Bedford County informed of the decisions affecting their everyday lives. In Christ, Adam Thomas, District 6 Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Thomas, for that
Well
eloquent
spoken, my
letter.
friend. Well
Very
spoken.
well.
Very well.
Very
I
well
think
done.
he's
He's articulate. He that first part.
He did good. He did good. If he didn't do it, he got somebody that knew how to do it.
He knows what he's doing.
knew
Trust me,
how.
Adam's
And
good.
let me tell you, he's a Bedford County EMS.
He is.
A great
He
EMS
is.
worker.
He sure is.
Absolutely.
He knows what's going on.
He does.
He knows the situation, and the way he summed it up. We as a country are in a position that has not experienced since the Carter administration. He knows and he's heard about how it was back then. You and I, some
We
of
were
us
all
lived
old
there.
enough to remember it.
You
I
weren't old
remember.
enough.
I weren't, but I know
when you
about
had 20%
myself.
interest rates back
And
then.
folks, I
and
think
stuff.
everybody needs to understand, every economics person that you talk to will tell you, we're looking at maybe worse than a recession
Yeah.
that's coming down the pike
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And this economy may get way worse before it gets better. Things aren't holding
Yeah.
up here. Because the gas that we put in our cars is one thing. But everything comes motor freight diesel. The price of diesel drives everything from eggs to milk to everything.
That's exactly what
And as
retail,
it
everything.
continues to shoot up, electric car ain't gonna drive an 18-wheeler. And if we can't get that under control, and by the way, this is, I'll get on a tangent, but the only country in the world diesel is higher than gasoline is the United States of America.
Yeah.
Now, we can't fix that, but obviously, there's your problem.
If
wanna
you
get
can
rid of
get
the
the
engine.
commission together and fix that,
Big wonderful.
man, y'all will we'll give y'all a raise.
Yeah.
But I got one more
That'll be
question back to
worth
the
it,
economic
thanks, Ray.
development partnership that concerns me. It appears we've created another wing of government with this. They get quarterly reports, they've got a budget. I mean, but there's nothing there, and it just seems like we've created like another wing to the government. And the last thing we need to do is grow government. I mean, the growing of government, again, you can't just government.
It goes against the
continues to grow.
fundamentals of our country.
But in business, if your business is not doing good, you either got to cut price, cut cost, you got to do something. In government, you just keep raising taxes and keep bringing it up.
Well, I think something that has enlightened, and I think it's going to enlighten a lot of people that's sitting out there in the public, that county employees are only working 35 hours.
I didn't know that.
Okay, if they're
And like I
working,
said, that's not every one of them, because sometimes, like the emergency services are different.
right,
You know, the EMS, sheriff, fire, animal control, whatever, they're different. But the county offices,
okay. I'm gonna have a hard time accepting the fact that I've got employees working 40 hours a week for probably the same money or less money because of the average. And then you got county employees that are only working 35, but they're basically getting paid for 40, so they're getting 5 hours free of lunch, okay? I guess that's part of the benefit package, maybe?
Right.
Is that what it is? Probably. But that's hard to justify because it takes more staff when you cut those work hours out. It's just a simple, I think there's that's one thing that's jumped out at me today. Has anybody else got anything that's jumped out at you guys after sitting here talking for a minute that maybe we need to take a second look at?
Well, obviously, I don't think any of us, if we can do it within budget, mind raises, but anytime you're dealing with government, you're also dealing with something called maintenance of effort. So I would rather give bonuses at times for a department that came in under budget or did something and do a bonus, because once you do maintenance of effort, Commissioner Farrar may correct me, you can't go back. So if you do these raises and the economy really goes in the tank, you're stuck right there, again, raising.
As a worker, bonuses and incentives drive you to be a more valuable employee.
Not just across the board raises. I'm just saying that I wish we could look stuff more to where you were. And I'm not saying people don't need a raise. We all want a raise. I want a raise. You want a raise.
Coach?
Well, that raise across the board, it bothers me some. We have several people, and you know what? You can just look at the offices. You can see what they're making. Some of them are making 80 and 90, and there's two people making $100,000 a year. I have trouble giving them any kind of raises. I probably it might be out of order, but somehow when we got people on the lower end, EMS or E911 or whatever that needs raises, certainly we don't need to be giving a 1% step raise to someone making $90,000 or $100,000. That money needs to. I don't know how you do it, and
Can you cap it? And can you cap it?
I don't know. I don't know if that's fair. I don't know if it's equitable. I don't know how you do it. But if we're going to pull up the lower end, we need to freeze some of the upper end of the salaries.
I know that the state.
I would even say freeze the commission pay.
me too.
I'm fine with that.
A year or two or three, and give it to the other people that are
That would be a big step.
need the EMS. I'd even go for that. But I'm not just picking on the fee offices, but they're laying a lot of money.
And the state dictates a minimum on those
Yes, they
offices
do.
too.
Yes, they do.
So you got to look at the minimum versus what we're paying. And if we're average, couldn't you freeze it? I mean, you know.
Well, the person making $10 an hour, give them 4% raise. Okay, that's one. Person's making 120, 115, 110. A 4% raise is a whole lot more money than that person making 10.
All right,
I believe we've got more than two making over 100. I believe it's several.
I think this sums it up economically. It's hard for a man making $15.92 an hour to pay a guy to work for $20.91 an hour, and that's where we're at right now. So it's going to be even harder the more you stretch that out.
I mean, I think you just got to look at our demographics and where we are. I mean, I don't know what Murfreesboro's number is, but I'm sure it's not $15.92 an hour. I'm sure it's quite a bit more.
I've already looked that up. It's over 20
Might be
bucks.
double that. Yeah.
No, it's over 20 bucks.
I mean, and we've got so many elderly people here, and again, I just talk to them every day that they came from a generation that wouldn't take not just a handout. They don't even want your help because they've got too much pride. These folks are struggling.
They need it.
Well, they're hurting, and every time you come up with this property tax, their Social Security's not going up to this rate of inflation. I can assure you, these retired seniors aren't going to get an 8.6 inflation raise on their Social Security.
No, they're not.
And they're supposed to pay the grocery bill
Yeah. They're
and an increase in taxes and the medicine.
I just talked to a pharmacist the other day, and he said he'd seen more than ever before, and he's been in business his whole life. Ever before, people are skipping their medicine because they have to eat, and they got to keep the lights on,
Yeah.
or they're going to every other day, or, you know, and it's elderly. And he said,
Well, guys, I want to thank you for just sitting down today. We're going to follow up on this and see how things go, and we're going to do some more shows down the road.
Thank y'all for the work that y'all do
Yeah.
and the time you put in.
What I was about to say, thank you for representing your constituents.
I can't
Yes.
thank you enough, and I'm gonna say it again. The people wouldn't be getting the information if you didn't have these shows and do what y'all doing. It's just not out
Well,
there.
we're going to keep doing it, and we don't mean to step on anybody's toes, but when you start talking about it, just common sense, sometimes toes do get stepped
And
on.
people were talking about, and when questions are brought up, and sometimes questions need to be asked, and sometimes they're the tough questions and the tough conversations you gotta have. So,
But I think discussion is good. I would just like to see more out of it on that Tuesday night that y'all sit down in a circle up there in
Right.
front of the public. It's put on YouTube and Facebook, and people. I encourage people to tune into that. But when I sit down and I see this stuff passed, and there's no discussion on it, and the meeting's over in 20 minutes, I'm going, wow. I don't think a 20-minute meeting's gonna cover this.
I can assure you it won't be 20 minutes.
yeah. Now, my phone's been ringing off the wall. I don't know about y'all's, but I've gotten a lot of calls about, you know, they don't tax.
is that something, is this a meeting where y'all can table this to another one, or is
We
this something
can.
that has to be?
It has to be
Okay.
passed by August 30th, to have no consequences. So we could put it off. The employee raises would be retroactive, the 1% raise or whatever. It's, you know, longevity pay, all that. That would be retroactive. So
To
it's
July 1st.
back to July 1st once we passed it.
Right.
So that's the latest that we could put it off.
Okay.
All right.
And the new commission would not be coming in at that time either. That would not be
They
till
wouldn't come
September.
up till September.
Because we will have some changes
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
All right. So it could get tossed down the road a little bit, and you take a little more time for the budget. So
Right, and I'm not opposed to that. I don't want to put it off until after the election though,
Yeah.
because I think then you don't know how people are going to vote on it.
Well, then you have
So-
new commissioners too that are gonna have to get
Well, then you
acquainted
gotta
with
throw
it.
them that budget book and say,
Yeah.
you're new commissioner,
Yeah.
here you
well,
go.
they gotta get
like you
acquainted.
said, it's going to be in September before they get sworn in.
Right.
And we have to do it
September
before
1.
then.
So you got to do it before then anyway.
And if you wait till August, then you could potentially be looking at a lame duck commissioner, possibly in a
Right.
seat or two.
So I don't want to wait until after.
I'd rather have it done before the election as well.
Well,
That way,
guys,
if you're for it, let everybody know and go win
Right,
your
but
election.
I'm not
Yeah.
opposed to studying it longer or
Okay.
having another meeting.
well, we look forward to seeing how this plays out. We're going to keep reporting on it, keep everybody informed, and we'd love to have you guys back as things move along. But thanks for sitting down with us, and guys, thanks for watching.
Happy Father's Day, everybody.
Happy Father's Day.
Okay.